I'm going to call this a letter to Royal Caribbean, a letter to soca music artists, a letter to you. So let's get a little juicy, get a little spicy. Let's get into it. Royal Caribbean's newest beast, Legend of the Seas, is coming to our waters. Now, mind you, the cruise lines are always in the Caribbean waters, but watch my angle. Legend of the Seas is coming November 2026. We're talking icon class energy. The biggest, the boldest, the most expensive, and the headliner they chose is America's Got Talent. Are you hearing me? They chose America's Got Talent. Now, big up to those performers, but it feels odd, doesn't it? A ship named Legend sailing through the legendary Caribbean islands, and the main stage feels like a Hollywood soundstage. I'm not here to bash Royal Caribbean. I've worked on cruise ships, and it's one of the best decisions of my life. The experience is unmatched, but as a cruiser and as a cultural lover, I have to ask, where is the bridge? Why is there a disconnect between the world's number one cruise destination and the artists born on those very seashores? Let's talk about the real business, the vibes, and why it's time to close that gap. Are you with me? I'm reading here, but stay with me. If anyone tells you that Caribbean music doesn't sell on cruise ships, show them the receipts of Uber Soca Cruise. We've seen it sell out in hours. We've seen Marsha Montano, Patrice Roberts, and Mr. Killa turn a ship into a floating festival. And that's not just the only artist. There's so many artists that have been on Uber Soca Cruise. The demand is global. People fly in from everywhere and sell out that cruise. But I get it. Maybe the major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian are for families. Maybe they look at the mob mentality of Soca Fete and think it's too high energy for a casual Tuesday. Maybe the corporate heads aren't aware of the spectrum. If you don't want power soca chaos at 10 a.m. by the pool, what about the groovy tempo? Artists like Turner, Trinity Baby, or Prophet Benjamin. Now, mind you, I understand these people might have families. Maybe those ones are not the ones that would want to be on, but work with me. You'll get the picture. They bring a vibe that is soulful, Caribbean, and perfectly cruise ready. And what about the upcoming artists, the ones eager for that international exposure? I've seen other ethnicities singing calypso on themed nights, and it's okay, but sure, it's an option. It's a placeholder. Imagine the impact of a young artist from Barbados or Grenada who got a 4-month contract on Legend of the Seas. The growth for them, the authenticity for the guests would be legendary. Are you following what I'm saying? I'm basically saying Caribbean artists should be on a Caribbean cruise ship. Hold on, it's going to get better. Let's talk numbers. The Caribbean is top rated destination for Royal Caribbean. Passengers are paying premium for the Caribbean experience. Representation goes beyond jerk chicken at the Windjammer buffet. People want to feel where they are. If I knew a specific Caribbean artist was headlining a sailing, I would go out of my way. I would book that specific week. That's brand loyalty. That's a new revenue stream. The truth is, our major artists are busy feeding the globe on land. But there is a massive pool of talent that would bridge the gap perfectly if the corporate doors swung open to a little wider to our local artists. So, Royal Caribbean, we love the innovation, we love the icon class, but are you sailing through our sweet, sweet Caribbean? Let's see more of our faces on those main stages. To my artists, are your EPKs ready? Are your managers looking at these 2026 European to Caribbean routes? To my cruisers, if you saw a groovy soca lounge or a dancehall acoustic night on your next Royal Caribbean, would you book it? Drop a comment below if you'd love to see these artists on Legend of the Seas. Let's get the conversation buzzing so that the right people hear us. Okay, I'm done being speaky spooky. I'm basically saying, let's go where the money resides, where the money resides. It's time. Do you see the vision? I get it. The big name soca artists are too busy out there. They're on the streets. They're in the parties. You can see them on stage. I get it. They outside. But I'm talking about the upcoming artists, the ones who don't get enough exposure or the ones that, are just getting into the game. I'm telling you, the networking that can be done on a cruise ship hits different than being island to island. When I worked on the cruise ship, I met people literally around the world. I'm not saying I worked for Royal Caribbean, which I didn't. I definitely wanted to at one point. Anyways, point is, I met people around the world. I started off in Sydney, Australia, and I went around the world. I done lapped the Caribbean a billion something times. I know what I'm talking about. Like your in the international experience, the friendships, the networking. Listen, the representation is on there. Maybe I need to make that clear. The representation of Caribbean people is on these Caribbean ships. So, for example, the chef, maybe some of the, your bartender, you know what I mean? I personally, I worked in the boutiques. So I'm second generation Caribbean. So the representation is there in that sense. But remember, this is a channel about music and the artists, right? When it comes to the music side of things, I get that Uber Soca Cruise is more like Juk for juk in the party. Okay, that's an old song. But you know what I'm saying? You don't want high energy on maybe like, a cruise ship that is catering to maybe families that, trying to chill, just want to relax or whatever. You don't want to bring on that kind of crowd. And I know how that sounds, but it is what it is, right? But there are groovy soca artists. There are soca artists that can give that tempo that is just right for a cruise line. That's how I see it. Do you see the vision? And we got to talk about numbers. Think about it. If a soca artist during the carnival season was like, you know what, boom, this is gonna be my year. The year happens, they ain't make a lick of money, bro. What are you doing, bro? You need to apply to these cruise lines. You think I had any kind of previous skills to be working on a cruise line? I barely had retail at the time when I applied. They hired me, sent me straight to Australia, and from there I sailed around the world. So it's only you self-sabotaging if you feel like, well, I don't have the experience. I don't have this, I don't have that. Or maybe you think that the cruise line has to come into your island. You can get flued out. Do you hear what I'm saying? You can get flued out. The cruise line does not have to come to your specific island. Maybe the cruise line can't doesn't even come to your island. They can fly you out to whatever route they're doing, and you can still be that artist. And when I say artist, I am talking about a DJ because they're always hiring for different DJs across all of the different cruise lines. I'm talking about steel pan. I'm talking about literally singing. Hello, dancing. You don't think that? Okay, boom. These cruise lines have Broadway shows and all these different. Come on, especially if you're an established theater kid. You don't think that maybe they might have a space for you? This is what I'm trying to say. Maybe either I'm not aware, which is fine. Maybe I'm not aware of these conversations, or these conversations need to be had. If you have a manager, if you are your own manager, maybe you need to tap into that. Why sleep on this money? You getting USD. You getting USD money. And sure, I get it, right? You might some people might be looking at it, well, they don't pay a lot. Well, on an off season of carnival time, you getting money? You getting money? Or you getting money? You know what I'm saying? So this is just an option that I wanted to, bring to the forefront, and help out a little bit. When I worked on a cruise line, once again, I done lapped the Caribbean, I lapped the world, and it gives you that exposure. There's no money that can buy the experiences I had when I was on a cruise ship. To this day, I no longer work on a cruise ship, but I can't say I've met anybody who's been around the world like I have, um, who've had the experience I've had, who've seen what money can't buy that. And I did 3 contracts on a cruise line, and I contracts are like 6 months. And again, if you are a artist, who knows if maybe you don't want to do a 6 month contract, what you can negotiate. I don't know how it works for an artist. Maybe it's just locked into 6 months, or it's one of those things where it's like maybe you can get a 4 month deal, or whenever they're docked in your island, you can run up on the cruise line. Because the thing is, when a ship docks, it's all the boutiques are closed and everything like that. What if you can run up on there, perform while a lot of the tourists are out into the islands? You bring the islands onto the cruise ship for the people that don't want to get off. You know how many times a cruise went into an island and I, as a worker, I had the opportunity to get off and I didn't get off? Maybe I got to do laundry. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I got to do things. Maybe I just want to chill with my friends. I got to wash my hair, whatever. Imagine Turner is performing real quick. And again, I'm thinking of names off the top who would be such a cool vibe to see on the cruise. So, anyways, let me know what you think. I'm trying to do something new with this channel. I'm still figuring out different ways I want to go with this channel. So, I think I'm going to do a podcast section where me and you could just talk, where we're not talking about any gossip with the celebrities, or we're not talking about what's going on with the soca music or whatever. It's just going to be me and you just rubbing ideas together. So, anyways, see you in the next one. Love ya. Bye.